Hello students, I hope you are fine. Continuing chapter General Principles and Processes of Isolation of Elements. Today we are going to study about the extraction of copper and zinc. Let's firstly study about the extraction of copper. Copper occurs in nature in combined state as sulfides, oxides and carbonates. Copper pyrites and copper glands are the sulfide ores of copper. Cuprite is its oxide ore, while malachite and azurite are its carbonate ores. In the Ellingham diagram shown here, copper to cuprous oxide curve is almost at the top, while carbon to carbon monoxide and carbon monoxide to carbon dioxide lines lie much below it, particularly in the temperature range 500 to 600 Kelvin. So it is very easy to reduce cuprous oxide to metallic copper by heating with coke. But most of the ores of copper are sulfides. Hence, after concentration, the sulfide ores are first roasted in a reverberatory furnace to convert them into oxides. The oxides formed can then be reduced to metallic copper using coke as the reducing agent. Let's have a look on the process of extracting copper from its ore in some more detail. Firstly, the ore is crushed and then concentrated by froth flotation process. After concentration, the concentrated ore is roasted, means it is heated strongly in the reverberatory furnace in excess of air. During roasting, moisture is removed, the volatile impurities are removed, sulfur, phosphorus, arsenic and antimony which are present as impurity are removed as volatile oxides. Oil sticking to the ore gets vaporized. The copper pyrites are partially converted into sulfides of copper and iron. The ferrous sulfide formed here is partially oxidized to ferrous oxide. The cuprous sulfide remains almost unchanged because copper has more affinity for sulfur than for oxygen. Thus, roasted ore mainly contains a mixture of cuprous sulfide, ferrous sulfide, and ferrous oxide. As copper has more affinity for sulfur than for oxygen, hence, if any copper oxide is formed during roasting, it reacts with iron sulfide present in the ore to form copper sulfide. Therefore, copper oxide cannot be obtained unless iron sulfide is oxidized and removed. Here note down that iron sulfide is oxidized more easily than copper sulfide. So to remove iron sulfide, the roasted ore is mixed with powdered coke and sand and is heated strongly in a blast furnace which is made of steel plates lined inside with fire clay bricks and is about 4.5 to 6 meters high and 2 meters in diameter. When hot air at about 1073 Kelvin is introduced from the turris near the base of the furnace, the coke starts burning to produce the temperature of about 1273 Kelvin. At this temperature, ferrous sulfide is oxidized to form ferrous oxide. Sulfur dioxide gas formed during this reaction escapes as a waste gas, and the ferrous oxide formed in this reaction combines with silica present in the sand to form ferrous silicate, which is the slag. As slag is lighter, so it forms the upper layer and is removed from time to time. And copper is obtained in the form of molten copper matte, which chiefly consists of cuprous sulfide and some unchanged ferrous sulfide. To obtain pure copper from matte, the molten matte is transferred to a Bessemer converter, which is a pear-shaped furnace made of steel and lined inside with silica. It is mounted on a horizontal axle and can be tilted in any position. It is also provided with small pipes called turris, through which a blast of hot air and fine sand is admitted. During this process of Bessemerization, any sulfur, arsenic, and antimony, which may still be present as impurity in matte, escape as their respective volatile oxides, while ferrous sulfide is oxidized to ferrous oxide, which combines with silica to form ferrous silicate slag. The slag thus formed floats on the top of the molten mass and is removed from time to time. When whole of the iron has been removed as slag, some of the cuprous sulfide undergoes oxidation to form cuprous oxide, which then reacts with cuprous sulfide to form copper metal. Copper metal so produced, being heavier, falls below turris and thus escapes the oxidizing action of the blast. When the reaction is completed, the blast of air and sand is stopped and the converter is tilted and the molten metal is poured in sand molds. As the metal cools, dissolved sulfur dioxide escapes. However, some of the gas bubbles are entrapped during solidification, giving blister-like appearance to the metal. The copper so obtained is nearly 98% pure and is called as blister copper. Now we are going to study about the extraction of zinc. Refer to the Ellingham diagram shown here. It is clear from the diagram that all the three curves representing the oxidation of carbon, that is carbon to carbon monoxide, carbon to carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide to carbon dioxide, lie above the oxidation curve of zinc till the boiling point of zinc is reached. The boiling point of zinc is 1180 Kelvin. Therefore, above 1180 Kelvin, the change in Gibbs free energy for the formation of carbon monoxide decreases, while that of the formation of zinc oxide increases very rapidly and intersects the carbon to carbon dioxide curve at 1270 Kelvin. Therefore, it can be said that above 1270 Kelvin, the change in Gibbs free energy for the formation of zinc oxide is higher than that of carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide from carbon. But the change in Gibbs free energy for the formation of carbon dioxide from carbon monoxide is always higher than that of zinc oxide. Therefore, carbon monoxide cannot be used for the reduction of zinc oxide to zinc. Since zinc boils at 1180 Kelvin, so at temperatures around 1270 Kelvin or above, the metal will be obtained in the vapor form and is collected by rapid chilling. Zinc occurs widely in nature in the form of sulfide, oxide, and carbonate ores. Zinc blende is the sulfide ore of zinc, zincite is its oxide ore, and calamine is its carbonate ore. Zinc blende ore is mainly used for extracting zinc. The ore is firstly crushed and is converted into fine powdered form. Then it is concentrated by froth flotation process. Then the concentrated ore is roasted by heating it at about 1200 Kelvin in the presence of excess air when zinc oxide is obtained. If calamine ore is used in place of zinc blende, then calcination is carried out in place of roasting to get zinc oxide. After roasting or calcination, the next step for obtaining zinc from zinc oxide is smelting. Nowadays, vertical retorts process is used for smelting of zinc oxide. In this process, the vertical retorts made of silicon carbide bricks and having height of about 7.5 meter are used. The silicon carbide bricks are capable of withstanding high temperatures for a long time. The zinc oxide obtained after roasting or calcination is mixed with coke and clay and then made into small briquettes. The briquettes are placed in vertical retort. The furnace is heated to 1673 Kelvin with the help of producer gas. Coke reduces zinc oxide to zinc at the temperature 1673 Kelvin. The products of this reaction, that is zinc vapor and carbon monoxide, pass into the condensers where zinc gets liquefied. The molten zinc is periodically tapped off from the condenser. It is impure zinc and is known as spelter. Spelter consists of 97.8% zinc. The carbon monoxide formed during the reaction burns at the mouth of the furnace with a blue flame and is converted to carbon dioxide. The reduction of zinc oxide is completed when the blue flame fades and the zinc vapor starts to burn with a brilliant white flame. Carbon dioxide formed during the process may oxidize zinc to zinc oxide again, but this can be prevented by absorbing the zinc vapors in lead droplets in the condenser. When the molten lead is cooled from 833 to 703 Kelvin, the zinc comes out of the solution. Being lighter, it floats over the surface and is separated easily.